we're all set? All
Rock
right.
and roll.
This is Executive Committee, Committee Board 14. I believe today is October 18. Meeting starting at 6:33. So I thought we would just go around the room and introduce ourselves. I'm Joanne Brown, Chair of Community Board 14. Just like
Sean Carroll, District Manager.
Steve Cohen, Second Vice Chair.
Gail Smith, Board Member.
Shahid Khan, Board Member. Joe Dweck, Vice Chair, third Vice Chair.
On the agenda tonight, here we are deciding on first vice chair that was left vacated by Dwayne Joseph and his passing on October 7th. As per the board's bylaws, vacation of a member of the executive committee will be done by the executive committee for the remainder of the term. So this position of first vice chair will go until our next election, which will be held in March. Not to be so formal, I just wanted to put that all out there, the process. So nominations for the position were taken at our monthly meeting, which was this past Monday, October 16th. Nominations came from the floor. For first vice chair, nominations were for Ed Sen, Carl Henry Cesar, Shahid Khan, and Donald Loggins. We also, because there are two members of the executive committee that are nominated for this position, we also asked for nominations for member at large. Those nominations are Gregory Alvarez, Florencia Chang-Ajita, Barton Prisant, and Deborah Valentin. With all the housekeeping out of the way, how would you like to proceed in discussing the position? Overwhelmingly, do you have somebody in mind? I know that you had made a nomination. So let's discuss where you'd like to go.
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no dog in this fight, so to speak. Everybody's very, 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 very nice. Wonderful folks. It's an impossible selection as far as I'm concerned. There's no one person that's more qualified than anybody else or more than I like than anybody else. They're all very, very, very good choices. I really, it's an eeny, meeny, miny, mo type of thing. So that's my feeling about it. I really, all of them, thank God, are nice folks.
And then if you don't mind, can I ask you, maybe you nominated Carl Henry Cesar. Did you want to say a few words regarding that nomination?
Yeah, so Carl and I were co-chairs of the education, I guess it was education and libraries back then, before it was combined with youth. And I was always really impressed with the way Carl would prepare for things. He'd always want to talk things out in advance. I might be mixing this up, but I feel like Carl used to like attend committee meetings before he was actually on the board. Like he was like a very interested community member. He attends a lot of committee meetings, asks a lot of great questions. Like he's just, someone who I look at as like a model board member. So that was, when like I saw that email, he was one of the first names that came to mind. I'll also say, with regard to Ed, having worked with him as co-chairs of a committee last year, I think Ed's fantastic as well. I've known Shahid a while. I think Shahid would be fantastic. So I don't think we can necessarily go wrong. I will say and I'm very fond of Donald, and I think he's fantastic. Part of me is a little uncomfortable with the notion of us being in such a super diverse district and like the top 5 members of the executive committee all being white. I don't necessarily like blocking people for diversity reasons, but I don't, just in terms of presentation, I think that would be less than ideal. Not that I want to ding Donald for that, but it is something that I thought about.
And just for the record, because Shahid Khan is also nominated for first vice chair, you will be recusing your vote for this particular position. And we spoke about that at the general board meeting.
My thoughts were one of encouragement, meaning that I agree. Carl Henry has been terrific. And I know he's going to go far. I know he is, and God bless him. He's just wonderfully attentive and wonderfully devoted and terrific. To that end, I'd want to see Ed Sen encouraged more, whether it be this position or another position in the executive board. I'd love to see that. I think as far as his community needs better representation as well. There aren't really many Asians on the board at all, and we need, I think, some more better representation from them.
Well, certainly a matter that the nominating committee can take up in February when they look at the overall executive committee and their recommendations. So I also agree that Carl is a great choice. And smiled when you said how he would come to meetings even before he was a member, and he would say, Carl Henry is our citizen. Is there any additional discussion that you'd like to have about this?
I was just curious if our
Yes.
first vice chair
Yeah.
emeritus has anything.
I was gonna ask one of you guys, is it possible for me to speak? First of all, I feel that I'm a little bit conflicted because they're all so good. And I'm sitting in front of two of you
Yeah.
today. And I too, though, feel that Carl, if I had to do it, it would be for Carl, and similar with what you had said, but Carl has, in my opinion, from meeting him before he even was on the executive committee, he has been very visible, very vocal, very involved with things. And I go back to the youth committee and his relationship there and what he's done. And fast forward, and like you said, the questions that he asked at every meeting is very thoughtful. And it makes you say, okay, this guy is going to go somewhere one day. So it would just be my pleasure to have him as a part of the executive committee.
Quickly, yep, I think to your point and you know, to your concerns around the point about the executive committee reflecting the board and the board reflecting the district, I think that is extremely important because it's in the mission, it's in our bylaws, it's in the charter that the borough president has to try to make our board reflect the community. And then our board within should then reflect that reflection, if you will. So I don't think it's a small point. I think that you know, who is sitting on the dais needs to be a reflection of the diversity of the board.
By the way, my own community, we have a large amount, tens of thousands of people, Sephardic Jewish community over here, and they're not represented any place, right?
All right.
Actually, before, do we have, just so we have, this information, if you have it handy, like attendance records or anything like that, like of the candidates?
Yeah, I don't have the, we actually talked about that and I didn't get the exact numbers because there's nobody who's nominated who doesn't have excellent attendance. So the difference would be between people who've missed no meetings to people who've missed one meeting in the last calendar year and no meetings thus far this season, albeit there's only been two. But this is a group of people with excellent attendance at all board meetings and who have not missed their own committee meetings. And I didn't dig down this deep, but I can say just by observation, people who've also shown up at committee meetings where they're not required to attend.
Thank you. Yeah, we were discussing that just and thought we would bring it up if it was germane and then there was a deadlock. Okay, so is the consensus then for Carl Henry Cesar, first vice chair.
Fine with me.
Okay, motion for Carl Henry Cesar, first vice
Seconded.
chair. Okay, no objections, right?
No,
Okay. Excellent, congratulations.
Point,
Yeah.
yeah, point of clarity. This is done then. This, the executive, the bylaws empower the executive
Yes.
committee to make the choice. So this isn't going for ratification, it's done.
It's done.
Okay.
It is done. Then that creates then assuming that he accepted the nomination, then he will accept the position of first vice chair. So I don't think that that is an issue. So that leaves a vacancy for a member at large. Again, it's Gregory Alvarez, Florencia Chang Ajita, Barton Prasant, and Deborah Valentin.
I don't know, again, if there was a choices, it's really hard. Again, Greg and Florencia, I think would be my two top choices. And they're both terrific. Florence, I don't know, Florencia, I can't, I know her intimately, I mean, she's always at stuff, God bless her. And she's so involved, and I think she's fantastic. Greg he's not in my world so much, Greg is not, but Florencia is. And I love her, she's just great, so involved and so passionate and so wonderful. In so many facets, I love her. I think so. I would give that's my only feeling. It's almost emotional because I am more involved with her than I am with Greg. But Greg has been wonderfully balanced and wonderfully contributing all the time. So that's only my thing because I happen to know her better. It's not anything negative about Greg. I think he's fantastic.
So I guess when I was thinking about who would take Dwayne's spot, actually, I mean, Carl, like I said, was the first person that came to mind, but Florencia was actually the second. Though once Ed nominated Greg Alvarez, I'm like, oh yeah, Greg would be good too. Yeah, I think Florencia and Greg, I think to me stand out the most. I love Barton. I think he's always been great. I got the sense at one point, like he might have attracted some detractors or controversy. I don't know where I picked that up along the line, but I don't know if that's in the past, and that's not anything to worry about. But Bart, I think the world of Barton. I think he's great. I feel like it's nothing against Deb. I think Deb's great. I just feel like I'm more familiar with the other candidates, and I do get the impression that the other three attend committee meetings more than Deb, or at least make their presence known a little more. So yeah, I'd say Florencia and Greg would be in my top two, with Barton a little behind, and Deb fourth out of this list.
Shahid can't vote on this now.
He can, you could speak.
Yes. Yes, I'm also thinking that Florencia is a good option, and how she involved and she attend the meeting and vocal and participation. So I think Florencia is a good option.
Again, the difficult decision between Florencia and Greg. Florencia is a powerhouse. It's just, every couple of days she'll text me about some other initiative that she's working on in the community. And just genuinely, cares for, this community and brings that feedback back. And I've worked with Greg very closely on lots of initiatives that we've had to, text amendments and the Borough President's Comprehensive Plan. So he also is completely qualified for the job. But I think in terms of giving her a platform for increasing outreach as a member of large is important. So the work that she does is now going to also have this title. And I think that that's important.
Joe, I want to go back to what I raised before about Ed. I want to make sure we encourage Ed and encourage Greg
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the future.
Mhm.
I think it's crucial. They're the future, frankly.
I think it might be useful too to be thinking about leadership positions moving forward to the extent that the chair that we're fortunate enough to have now may not be the chair 5 years from now.
I like the 5 years.
I stuttered right there.
Well, but just even with mechanics, 27 is it because of the term limits. And I shouldn't be leaving in 2027. It should be somebody,
We have
here
term limits?
before me. Huh?
We have term limits?
We have term
Can-
limits.
Can I waive the bylaws?
That's a
I used to waive the bylaws.
Well,
It's city attorney.
Remember, I used to waive the bylaws, that was my job, that's why they kept me on the board.
Joe, there is our own bylaws waiver because technically Joanne's term expired last year and there was a bylaws waiver. There could be again this year. Maybe she won't want it. Maybe they won't do it. But there is, sort of graduations hanging in the balance. So thinking about, who could step into different positions. And then reflecting the diversity and I was gonna try not to speak on any individuals and just try to do like more broad statements, but everybody knows how much Florencia does because she's out there in the field in the public. I am pretty sure, and maybe we need to be careful about this, she has clones. Pretty sure. And she also just is so like personal, like she knows like, oh, so-and-so's daughter just had a baby and it's the first boy in the family. I'm like, I didn't even know that. So like that personal touch is special. Greg is not out in the public at different events all the time as much, but he is never further than a phone call away on complicated things. So in terms of support for this office, there's the people who go out and represent and do great, I think, so I can kind of, this is crass to put it this way, but I'm sorry, but PR work. And then there's just like the knowledge base that this office really has to draw upon because we don't have a planner in here. So in those ways, those are two very valuable individuals.
Yeah.
Also in terms of representing the diversity of this district, and going by last name only, the only sort of ethnic group or racial group, because it's broken down into racial groups, in which we're underrepresented is Hispanics. There's something like 15% in the district and single digit representation on our board. And that's including Carmen Val and Greg Alvarez, and then Corazon, Paliente. And so there's that. The Asian demographic is very funny because we're overrepresented because of our Pakistani representation. But when you talk about Ed, it's a different ethnicity within that so-called race. So we're in a weird, it's a sort of strange demographic balance.
Yeah, as I said, I just wanted to encourage those folks. I really
Yeah.
certainly don't want to lose them under any circumstances.
Well, I think we should feel that way all of the time about our members throughout as we went through, elections. They have all basically been good and worthy
Yeah.
of ascending to this position. What thrills me is that good minds think alike. When I was listening to you, and then you would, and to you, Joanne, when you're putting them in first, second, they're asking, wow, that's what I thought. Florencia sometimes takes my breath away, and it's not because I'm not. It takes my breath away because of everything she's capable of doing that she just does.
That's
She
coming from you.
exudes,
That's coming from you.
yeah, but she just exudes caring
Yes.
and, doing whatever she can. I've learned a lot about her being on the community safety committee and seeing how active she was, and the role that she played in the community as a whole.
And she does it so nicely.
Yeah.
She's does
With
it so
grace,
sweetly,
yes.
with grace.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish Hindi could be here because there was something that Hindi said about her that, that she felt that working with Florencia made her a better person.
Mhm.
How sweet.
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. One last demographic note. This is a board that has teetered or tottered more toward male representation. We were really, really close to even a handful of years ago. And now I think we're 29 to 21, 29 men and 21 women for
We can't,
people.
even if it's 29, we can't take the other 21.
We're like double, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's for you to work out with the borough president.
I don't want to go on a tangent here, but I think, you know, the experience that Nicole Levinson Angula went through, like just being a young mom just makes it really tough to attend these meetings, like having to rely on, you know, childcare to, especially with in-person versus virtual. I remember she was like, gotta stick with virtual, guys, like throw me a bone. So yeah, I do think unfortunately there's that imbalance because there's, you know, more, you know, obviously more women who are taking on, you know, parenting role.
They do, but we women, we are strong. We go and do what we have to do and we have to do it.
I used to have all of the applications, so I could see like what pool the borough president's office was drawing from, and they don't share it with us anymore. So to your point, there could be a lot more applications coming from men, so the balance of what they're selecting from is reflecting that. But no matter what the reason is, it's manifested in a growing imbalance.
And so to get back to the point of term limits, 2027, if you were on the board by 2019, you have, you know that you have to, you will not be reappointed, you cannot be reappointed.
Not first of all.
But wait, then you just take a year, can't you?
You
Can
can take a
reapply
year off,
after?
yes.
When did Greg join the board?
I think it was after 2019.
I think so. I think it was by 2019.
Okay.
I feel like it was definitely pre-pandemic. He joined the board.
Yes.
I'm the person who should know. I have no idea when you joined.
I think
You're
it's either
new.
2018 or
I'm
2019.
new.
It's like we're all in that picture in The Shining. We've all just always been here.
Yeah, like, find the right
Exactly.
year.
Find my dumb self.
We have a,
But Mel had hair and no dark glasses.
we have a memorial award for Patty Brennan tomorrow. I'm one of the only people alive that still knew Patty Brennan. He was our CO here, by the way. He was just a gorgeous Irish brogue. He was such a great man. But yeah, I'm that old.
So I'm hearing
Younger.
consensus for Florencia.
I think just the same question about attendance. Anything of note or?
Florencia has 210% attendance. Greg Alvarez has, I think 100%, although there may have been a meeting he missed last year, but if so, there was one meeting missed. So if those are the top contenders, they are equivalent attendees.
Yes.
Like I said, she has more outside attendance at the different events.
And
Yes, more attendance taking my phone calls.
All right.
Does that help?
Oh, do you need a motion?
We should do it, yeah. So motion for Florencia Chang Jada as a member at large.
Seconded.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, great. Thank you very much for coming. And I want to thank you too for being part of this board and being so active in everything that you do in the community. I just wanted to let you know.
Yes,
They-
yes.
Yeah, you
see
still
you.
might have clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have to move up, you have to sit next to me on the dais. No problem. I kick.
I think I changed seats the other day. All right, I won't take up any more of your time, but thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
Meeting.
Thank
God bless
you.
you.
Thank you.
You're amazing. This is incredible. I've been to a few other boards and there's nothing like this. It's just.
I'm afraid to go to any others.
See, I've said this before, my police friends, because they get transferred. And the co-terminality means that the boards and the precincts have the same districts. So anytime they're new, so I keep in touch with the boys. They're all dear, dear, dear friends. We go to each other's weddings and all kinds of stuff. So we see them all the time. And every single time, they said, make sure your board is unique in the city. Make sure you please tell them how much we think of them all the time, because I see the boys all the time. We go
You
together.
keep in touch with the boys, I keep in touch with the girls, and Inspector Suarez.
Oh, congratulations.
Says the same thing about, she's working with CB7 now, and she's like, this is a great board, and I would think that I had really landed so well with a good board if I didn't know your board.
I want to bring lunch to Kristen.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a sweetheart.
She is.
Oh,
She's getting along with my pal Jeremy Lawfer as the chair over at CB7, or the GM
But
at
this is
CB7.
unique. I am telling you, taking it for granted, but the leadership, the way they do things, it's unique in the city. I've seen other boards working and it was anarchy or dictatorship at best. This is unique. And the way that they.
Anarchy or dictatorship.
I'm sorry? No, really. And the way that they encourage participation and the way that their preparation. Yeah.
No, we have an excellent community board,
Yeah.
bar none,
Yeah.
and you guys are just
God bless you.
the
God
best.
bless you. Really, God bless you.
Pleasure
Protect the
to,
culture.
What's the
Yes.
word for when something is greater than the sum of its parts? Because that's the word that should be for students.
so I can actually walk back home.
Yes,
That
you
is
can.
so awesome.
You want to ride on my motorcycle?
I saw you on the last day.
Yeah, yeah.